as we think about this, I want to go back to a story from the early church, okay? In about 165 AD, so a couple thousand years ago, there was a pandemic that hit. And you may have heard about this in church history. And this pandemic, I think, as far as I understand it, it was basically, it was smallpox is what it was. Wasn't eradicated for quite some time after this, but it wiped out, excuse me, let me rephrase that. It had an effect on it. I think a third of the Roman Empire died because of this virus. It's going around. That's insane, right? To think about, just to even fathom that amount of people. And here's what was happening as well. What's happening at this point is you had the wealthy, they were able to escape to their country homes. And there's even stories about as they were going out on their wagon, they had all their stuff with them, they were headed to their homes. If somebody showed any kind of symptom, they knew this thing was extremely contagious. If they showed any kind of symptom, there are stories of them throwing their family members off their wagons and leaving them. Can you imagine that? It's crazy, right? If they weren't rich enough to leave the city, if somebody in their household did that, they would shove them out the door. So here are all these people, right, who know they're probably going to die, and there's no one. Their families left them. And in steps the church. And it's insane what they did. They didn't have, and I want to be careful. I'm not trying to be, They didn't have medicine to treat these people. You know what they had? They had a cold compress. They had a hand to hold. They gave them water and they tried to feed them as best they could. And so the church comes alongside these people and they welcome them into their homes, some of them. Some of them were doctors and nurses who nursed them, and they actually attribute, they probably could have lost an additional third of the population had it not been for the church stepping up in this way. It's incredible to think about. One of the things I love about it is I was reading this even this week. One of the things they said was this. They said, this was the church just doing what they had always done. The church actually was known to love the outsiders. They welcomed people who would have never been welcomed in high society. They welcomed them already. They were already doing. This just highlighted what they were already doing. It's pretty cool what they were doing, and it completely changed the world. If you go to church history, about 100 years later, the entire Roman Empire had heard the gospel on some, at least they had a gospel witness in their cities. It's an incredible thing. And the reason it exploded is because people finally understood, like, man, these guys are real. And it was a unique thing.